Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at days 16 and 17 of Amberlynn's vlogging. I realized while editing my previous videos that I wasn't watching her videos on like the highest like HD, whatever it's called. So I went ahead and made sure to do that this time. Yeah, so let's just get right into it.
Hello, hello, welcome to a new vlog. I'm actually going to a couple appointments today, running a few errands. Just wanted to check in and say hello, hello. My allergies are so bad. I hate it so much. It's so weird. I didn't have allergies when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, my allergies just like keep getting worse and worse. And it's so cold out. My lips are like,
Yeah, so allergies do get worse as you age, especially if you're constantly being bombarded by them. But I also learned recently that as a whole in our country, pollen allergies have actually been on the rise, and it's largely to do with how city planners are designing the cities with like the types of trees that they're using. So basically, with a lot of trees, you have a male and a female tree. Usually, the female tree will put out fruits or seeds or something, and that can be really difficult to maintain in a city setting, like to clean up and everything. So, a lot of the times, they will only plant the male tree, and the male tree actually tends to put out double the amount of pollen. So over time, in all of the cityscapes and everything, we just have predominantly male trees everywhere and male bushes and things like that. And so they're just putting out shit tons of pollen. And so that's why, as a whole, everybody in the country is like suddenly developing or realizing that they have allergies. And I thought that was both neat and frustrating.
the movies have become so predictable, but supposedly this one's like actually really good and not predictable at all. So I'm excited.
I've actually heard and experienced that quite a bit as well. A lot of the times now, whenever I see a trailer for a movie, even if it's one that I'm like excited for, I start to recognize like the tropes and things like that. And typically, even if I think I know how the movie's going to go, I'll still get the movie. But it's just still really disappointing to get three-quarters of the way through the movie and realize that like you knew how the plot was going to go.
And I'll let you guys know what we think. We're gonna have some like popcorn. It's gonna be like a little date night because it is Friday, but we're gonna stay in for this date night. Expecting it to go down as it is. So, I mean, the movie's entertaining, but I'm hoping for some maybe.
You know who's been really good about putting out shows and movies that don't quite go the way you were think they were gonna go lately is Netflix. I have been surprised at the caliber of some of their cartoon kids shows. Like Centaur World was just absolutely insane. Like put it on the background just to be background noise one day. After the first episode, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to get my husband in on this. The whole thing was great. Another one is The Dragon Prince is super underrated, and Kipo. I think it's like The Legend of Kipo or something like that. Kipo on Netflix is really good. Very inclusive. The story is great. It's of really positive role models for any kind of child. As an adult watching them, they're very entertaining.
I don't know. I'm just grateful for you guys. I don't share it enough because sometimes it's just I feel bombarded with sadness because people think I'm someone I'm not. But for those of you who see the real me and watch me in silence,
It is nice to see her not just standing and talking at us. It's nice to see her like doing chores and stuff because like in a lot of her videos she's mentioned that she does a lot of work and she keeps the house clean and things like that, but she never really shows it. Or when she does show it, like when she sets up her tripod to show us like her cleaning the kitchen, it feels very fabricated, but this just feels natural. Like she's messy bun, she's doing her laundry, and it feels normal and natural.
or message me and just are the sweetest. I appreciate you guys. Like, so you guys know how my psychologist, wait, I'm hot, is on maternity leave. She hooks me up so I'm not like without appointments with another psychologist. This one's a male, and I have never my whole life, like I started going to therapy when I was literally 9 years old because I was put in foster care, whatever. But I've never had a male psychologist like. And for me, I think because of my childhood and some things that have happened, it's a little bit harder for me to open up to males. I know that might be unpopular opinion,
I can actually understand that mentality as a whole, not specifically with just like being locked into a male psychologist, but I really struggle with male doctors as a whole. Like our family doctor, the one that like all four of us go to see, is a male and he's really nice. But whenever I go in for like our solo appointments, he seems rather dismissive. Like when we come in for like my kids' appointments, I'll say, okay, I need this, this, and this. And he just like wham bam writes me referrals. But whenever I say like, "Hey, I think I should go to a dermatologist because I'm 90% sure that I've got like scalp psoriasis," he's like, "Well, it could just be dandruff." And I'm like, "Okay, but like, why is he like that with me?" Like, even with my husband, he was like, "Oh, you need an X-ray. Oh, you need an MRI," because his back was hurting, and he had some like spinal issues, like a vertebrae thing. But then when I come in and I'm like, "Hey, I've struggled with my weight my whole life. I think we need to do like a hormone blood test or something." He was just like, "Oh, well, have you tried dieting or have you tried cutting out soda?" And it just feels really patronizing. Even to the point that like whenever I need to do like a women's health checkup, I will go completely to a different doctor. Like I go to the health department and I let them know that like, "Hey, I'm a survivor of abuse and I need somebody who can help me with that," because every time I've gone to like a male gynecologist, they have treated me like I was psychotic because I get like a panic attack on the table because I don't like the feeling of being invaded is basically what it is. And even though I know logically that it has to happen, like I need to be checked to make sure we don't, you don't have cervical cancer, it feels invasive and they look at you like you're crazy. I also want to say that if her psychiatrist set her up with this new psychiatrist to like kind of help bridge the gap until she gets back from having a child, in my experience, wouldn't the fact that Amber wasn't comfortable with a male psychiatrist be something that they would have discussed? Or, maybe Amber didn't mention it and say like, "Hey, I get triggered because of my trauma with a male psychiatrist. Can you please, make sure that it's a female or something?"
Like he's nice and all, but it's also just hard for me to talk to someone else in general because I've been seeing this psychologist for so long now. Like this is the longest I've been a part of anything like this. So I miss her. I've heard of this like rapid eye movement thing that you can do in therapy that can actually unlock memories from your past. Should I do it? I don't know. I don't know. Like I know there's so many things that I'm forgetting, and I'm not sure if it'll do me more damage or if it'll do me good if those memories are unlocked. Something to think about. So if you guys remember my last vlog,
I think that unlocking and working through trauma is good for anybody, but I don't think personally, in my opinion, I don't think that Amberlynn is ready for that because, she's seeing a psychiatrist, she has other health issues, and she's going to therapy. And from what I can tell, she's not actually having any of these specialists talk to each other. Even if she just had the therapist and the psychiatrist talking to each other, it would improve things greatly because from what she's shown us in her videos, just with dealing with like, people's negative comments, I don't think that she knows or she hasn't committed to her own memory any sort of coping mechanisms for traumatic things or like even minor inconveniences. She's not willing to accept fault or blame for things even though she says she is, but like it's easy to say like, "Oh, I accept that's totally my fault," or I can accept that I got myself here." But until you actually it requires some internalizing and coming to terms with the fact that like, I'm the one that got us into this mess and I'm the one that's going to have to get us out of it. I don't think that she's there. And I think that unlocking these childhood memories would just make it worse for her at this stage. And I feel like that's something that she needs to have a conversation with between her therapist and her psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever it is.
I was deciding if I wanted to continue my 100 days of weigh-in through video. Like I'm gonna do it regardless of my personal life. I figured I will continue it through video form as well. But I'm just not gonna talk about my binging. Hello. So it's not even my birthday yet, but Feline is insisting I open my birthday gift. So she was like, "I want to see your reaction. So put your phone on the tripod. I'll be right back." She left and she shut the door. So yeah, my birthday's coming up. I'm gonna be 32. Oh my god. Literally in
Oh wow, I thought she was younger than me, but if her birthday's in December and my birthday's in January, she's actually like a month older than me almost. Another thing I wanted to point out here is that wifey is not a part of like our experience with Amber because we don't know her. Like we've seen a hand and a foot in like a shadow. We don't know her. Unfortunately, Amber is demanding that like we maintain this weird like pseudo relationship with her girlfriend, but from what I can see, wifey has no problem facilitating ideas for Amberlynn's vlogging. Like Amber just said right here that wifey told her to put her camera on the tripod and record her reaction to this present, which means that like wifey is like she recognizes that like Amberlynn is bringing in the money with this job. And unfortunately, that in my opinion, does put like one more check in the column of wifey is kind of suspicious.
5 weeks from now. My birthday's in 5 weeks, and she said, we need to do this now. I was wearing eyelashes, but I took them off. I'm ready. You sure? Yes. You positive? I'm sure. Close your eyes. Okay. Why am I so nervous? I want to open them so bad, but they're closed. Open it. No, you didn't. Is that for real? Babe. Wait, I'm getting emotional. Hold on. Is that the real deal? It's the real deal. No, it's not. Wait, why do I feel like I'm turning so, like, I feel so fiery hot right now. Are you serious?
Oh wow.
I had no idea. You guys, the Titanic Lego. It's what I've been wanting. Wait, I think
Oh wow.
there's like a fur ball right there. But yeah, I think I'm in shock.
I wonder if this is a brand new unopened one because my aunt's sons are into Lego as well and they build kits. And so for every like Christmas or their birthday, she will buy like a new kit or whatever. And her son will put it all together, take a bunch of videos, do like a time lapse, and then he takes it all back apart and puts it back in like vacuum sealed baggies the way it came originally. Well, I mean, obviously they don't come in vacuum sealed, but he puts it all back together and he maintains the box in like pristine condition and he resells it. Like, so he gets his enjoyment out of it. He takes his pictures, he takes his time lapse, and they enjoy it for a few days. And then he takes it all back apart and then he sells it and recoups the money. I wonder if that's how wifey got her hands on this, because I would imagine that something like this would resell on like eBay for like, maybe half the price. Because I just can't fathom spending $700 on a Lego set. It can be worth it for the person you love, but I don't know. There has to be a way that she got this for cheaper than $700.
Oh. Oh my god, it's like all kinds of ways to open this. Okay. Oh my goodness. So
Yeah,
there's like several
see,
boxes, which I was.
it looks like there's like denting here, and this looks like regular tape. I think this is a reboxed set.
Definitely expecting. I'm gonna get these out now. I cannot wait any longer. Someone has decided that the box is hers. Oh, big yawn. Oh my goodness. I might.
Not that I'm like belittling this in any way because it's still an incredibly thoughtful gift and like Amberlynn is obviously clearly over the moon. I just think that like if my husband wanted something super expensive, which he does. We all have everyone in this house has wine tastes on a beer budget, but I always look for ways to get us those things as cheaply as possible. Like my husband's laptop I got as a like an Amazon warehouse refurbished laptop, so it was like $300 cheaper. Most of the nice fancy things that we get are like open box or scratch and dent or something because it's like, we're not worried about a little bit of dings and dents. So, yeah.
I get emotional actually. I know. I'm trying not to cry. Like I'm just no. Like I feel it, that like when it starts to get a little hello. It is the next day. No, I'm not wearing the same thing. I'm wearing a maxi. I know it's not that attractive. So it turns out that I actually have lipedema in my stomach. So that's why my stomach. Watch, let me show you guys. That's why my stomach goes out right here. Well, this lighting is not it. Lighting angle. There we go. This part right here. I didn't know you could have it in your stomach, but
My stomach does that at the bottom, but it's because I had a C-section twice and all the muscles in the bottom of my stomach were shredded and never went back to the way they should be. I actually don't even have feeling in the bottom part of my stomach because the nerves and muscles were frayed from the C-section. It's really easy to get a diagnosis and then just like blanket attach that to everything in your life. Maybe, yes, maybe she does have a little bit of lipedema in her stomach, but like she can't say that like that's why her stomach looks like that, because her stomach looks like that because she's been eating and that's how her body distributes the extra weight, the extra weight.
turns out you can. I know it's not like attractive to see. I'm sorry for that, but I am. Yeah. Okay. So I did notice with my weight gain that my stomach has gotten bigger. Obviously, my breathing's gotten worse. Obviously, I weighed in at 504.6, and yesterday was a successful day with intuitive eating. Okay, so
Speaking of weight loss, this is my last week on the 7.5 dose of Manjaro. I think I started at like 270, 271-ish, and I'm currently sitting at 251, and I still eat pretty much like normal. Actually today, after shoveling gravel all day, I treated myself to a soda and a Twix bar, like a king size Twix thing. We had 18 tons of Crusher Run gravel delivered to our new house, and I had to go up there and scrape it out to make a parking spot, like a parking pad and like an area for us to turn around. So it was like me, my 6-year-old, and then like our neighbor came down, and we just went to work doing it. We were out there from like 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and I'm going to be super sore in the morning because of it.
Well, I wanted to talk to you guys. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to talk about, binging anymore, or like how I'm doing in that regard, or like medical talk or doctor talk or anything like that. But it's crazy that I said I didn't want to do this anymore. But then today, since I'm a little bit behind on my videos, the video that went up was me showing you guys what I ate during a binge, and I am reading the comments because I want to respond to some. I want to heart some. I want you guys to know that I see you, hear you, and I know there's a lot of supporters out there, and I really want to see your guys' comments, and I want us to engage and have a better relationship with one another. And obviously, while doing that, I see some of the horrible things that people say, and so
That
I
you
showed you
could be
guys what I
blocking
binged
and
on,
deleting.
and I am being called a liar, saying that's not a binge. I am being told this is insulting because I have binge eating, I have an eating disorder, and it's insulting that you would call this a binge. This isn't you binging.
I don't believe this at all. She filmed a TikTok depicting what she looks like during a binge with the crying and the sobbing and the, scraping a cookie against her teeth at a weird angle. And then she expects us to believe that she can be present in mind and conscious and able enough to film a regular video when she's eating a binge. But not only that, she's sitting here telling us that she feels one way because of the comments in her video without taking into account that the people who are watching her videos also have feelings. So she's just said other people who have binge eating disorder, other disordered eating problems, have said, hey, this is insulting that you would call this a binge because I actually have this condition too, and things like that. And so I imagine that she's about to go on here and be like, everybody's different, and, like basically just explain it all away. When in reality, she never should have called that a binge. She just should have called it like, hey, poor eating decisions because I want to binge or something. It's, that, and I'm pretty sure that she's classified other extreme things that she's done on her channel as binges, like when she ate like the rotisserie chicken that she later claimed was a joke or something. And then there was like something where she like sat down and ate like most of a platter of like shrimp. Like those things are clearly overeating. But in my opinion, if you have the presence of mind to sit down and whip out a camera, you're not in the midst of like a binge attack. And the YouTubers that she's mentioned before that she watches that are like, hey, binge with me, I don't I don't know that YouTuber, but like I find it really hard to believe that these YouTubers can just sit down and casually hold a conversation while eating. Like it feels more like she's watching mukbangs and being like, those people are binge eating. When in reality, mukbangs are just people eating to satisfy someone else's like feeder fetish or whatever.
And I want to say straight up, right off the bat here, that binging is different for everybody. The way
Yep,
that
there we
people's
go.
headspaces, the things that they eat, how they feel, how fast they eat, etc., is different for everybody. And in that moment, I was in a haze where I wasn't thinking clearly. I didn't care. All I cared about was the food that was in front of me. And I really quickly wanted to show you guys what I ordered was a binge. What I ate was a binge. And for people to sit there and just say this is insulting because this isn't a binge, it's painful because it took me a couple years. It took me some time. It took me having a psychologist who specializes in binge eating disorder for me to not only binge less frequently, but for me to eat less during a binge. It has taken time. It's taken work. It's time and work that you guys haven't seen, but it's time and work that I've put into it, that I have seen, that I have felt. And it is so painful for me to open up like that. And there is so many people in videos on
She's
YouTube
really
of people
good
doing
at
that. And
like doing
every
this
binge, every
weird
video, every story is
feigned
different.
like,
And I just find it so
audacity.
just like gut wrenching for me to upload that,
What
in fear
is
that I'm going
this
to be judged based
happening?
on how much I'm eating. But it's the reverse effect. People are saying that I didn't eat enough.
Okay, I couldn't see half of this shit because she was like flipping through it so quickly on the screen, but most of the thumbnails I saw there were clearly clickbait. Like if this is the type of stuff that she's watching, it's no wonder she has such a weird perception of binge eating disorder. Because, while there are people out there that are like, solemn heroes of their disorders and they're trying to bring awareness to it, a lot of people will manufacture an illness on YouTube, like you can't believe everything you see. A lot of people will manufacture an illness or manufacture a disorder and then portray themselves as this character on the internet because they know that people are going to watch the videos. I mean, the same people that get like weirdly turned on by watching mukbangs, there's an entire like, elite group of them that specifically likes watching people binge eat because they like watching people destroy themselves. I don't know. It shows how blindly she just takes everything as at face value without like doing any sort of research into it.
Say that's not a binge because I pulled out my camera. What? My psychologist has told me take pictures of your food before you binge. That is one of like the first things she told me during our meetings. And when I saw the dietitian from the outpatient program, she also recommended it. Before you binge, take a picture.
I feel like Amberlynn is very good at doing something, and then when she receives the backlash for it that she knows that she's gonna get, she's very good at being like, pearl clutchy and being like, "Oh, how dare you?" She's been doing this for however many years now. She should know that there are going to be people that don't like what she's putting out and everything, and she knows that by constantly addressing and blaming and hating on the people who are making all of these comments that it's going to keep that conversation going between her and the haters. And that's where she's getting her money from. And so while I've actually seen recently that a lot of the reaction channels are going through, they all seem to go through like phases. Like you get a new reaction channel that's like smart and sassy, and they have these like cute commentaries. And eventually over time, they just get to the point where they're just like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And they're just super negative about everything. They constantly put down everything she puts out there, and it gets really like that's usually about the point where like I walk away from that channel because it's like they're clearly getting burned out watching her content. And if you're burned out watching her content, you shouldn't be like reacting on it, in my opinion, because I may say things that are harsh and say things that are like off the wall, but I'm saying things that come to my mind. I'm not trying to do it for the views or to start an argument or to like start beef with anybody. I'm just saying like what's on my mind. And so I'm going to say the good, I'm going to say the bad. And I'm not going to sit here and try to look for reasons why Amber is a bad person because like she's just a person like the rest of us. Like we're all people. And she may have a lot of issues that she clearly needs to work through. That doesn't really give the world permission to constantly, I don't know, I guess shit on her. Like, yes, she's opening herself up. She's a public figure on the internet and you can do whatever you want on the internet, but it's like I think for me it goes back to like the Facebook mentality of like where you have like all of the older generations are so used to just being able to like word vomit out their feelings about every little thing on Facebook. And so you see the same thing in comments on like YouTube or even on Reddit. Like people just can't see something that they dislike and like scroll past it. People hate watch other people because they just, I don't know, they're obsessed with them and it's weird. Like I watch Amberlyn's stuff because I'm weirdly, morbidly curious. Like there's part of me that is hoping that she, will snap and have a wake up call. And there's another part of me that's watching her going, like, one of these days, all of these videos that she's put out are going to be like an extended obituary if she doesn't get her shit together. And it makes me sad, but it also pushes me forward and reminds me that, like, I get in these mindsets as well. And this is what it looks like when somebody doesn't have a truly good support system and isn't doing enough because I can't say she's not doing anything, but she clearly isn't doing enough to save her own life.
And just because she's showing them doesn't mean it's less valid. I don't know, like the way the comments are, like it is vile, vile. And just because I don't want to talk about this on YouTube anymore, just know that the people that I do talk to, don't worry, I will always be there for you, okay? And don't let any of those comments down there get to you. And I know it looks like they're getting to me, and I guess you could say that they are, but we can move past it. It doesn't kill you, makes you stronger. It's that type of situation.
Okay. It was a very long, kind of convoluted rant, and I can understand why she's upset, but I also don't think that no longer talking about it on YouTube is the solution. I think that if I was in her position and I was getting these kind of comments, that it would be difficult, but I think that the best course of action would be to continue to do it. Continue to show your binges, continue to show, all of your problems because if she's actually made this, if she had been showing us all these things from the get-go, we would have actually seen the difference. Like if she, if her binges have really gotten to the point where she can eat that little and she can be present in her mind to do it, then how would we know? Like, yeah, she says it's been happening off camera, but like, how would we know? Because she doesn't want to show it to us. She doesn't want to talk to us about it. She just expects it She expects to come out of like out of completely out of left field and show us something and then not get any backlash for it. It's weird to me because like we're the same age roughly, which means that we both grew up with the internet. We both know how the internet works. Like she's not like some spring chicken to the internet. And it's very strange that she's constantly acting like, I don't understand why society is like this. And I'm like, society's like this because the internet is the wild, wild west. Like there's no policing speech on the internet. So, anyways, that's the end of this video. Looks like I've got 3 or 4 more left to catch up with where she's currently at, and then I'm gonna try to keep up with her videos, but I can't make any promises. So I will see you on the next one.